Hey everyone, welcome back to another Godzilla battling video, and today we have this Ultraman deck that I've been using and I've been having a ton of fun with it. So, before I even get into going through the deck list, I just want to say, I'm using Kong as my leader. I'm trying to get those Kong 500 leader wins. You don't have to use Kong for this deck, it's just who I'm using at the moment. You can use G89 in this deck, you can use Mecha King Ghidorah, you can use Batra leader, you can use Fire Rodan leader. Pretty much for this deck, what you want is any leader that's going to be giving a damage buff to units that are 5 cost or higher, since the lowest, well, technically Kamacuras is the lowest energy in this deck at 2 that's going to do any damage, but you're not really using them for damage. Ultraman, Leo, and King Ghidorah, Mecha King Ghidorah, all are 5 or higher. Get something that can buff 5 or higher cost units, right? Biollante will be good for this because there's a lot of range here. Kong is good for this as well because he'll give a 20% boost. GD9 gives a 15% boost, and then Batra and Fire Rodan do something for flyers. I don't even remember. So, that out of the way. Leader for this deck, not really too important. Just make sure it's synergizing well. Now, to explain Ultraman. This deck is not, by any means, the best Ultraman deck. I think this is just a phenomenal Ultraman deck, but I think there obviously are better ones, right? And it depends on your characters and how your strategies are. That being said, Ultraman himself is a phenomenal unit. Ultraman can basically be plugged in and played in any deck, and if you have Super X in your team and you've been using Super X, I am confident enough in Ultraman's abilities to tell you that you can just completely drop Super X for this season, put in your rented Ultraman, and go to town. A level 3 Ultraman is doing more damage than a level 30 Super X is, providing that Ultraman is hitting at least one other target with his piercing, right? Super X hits 3 times for like a total of 500 damage around there. At level 30, Ultraman at level 3 is going to hit 2 targets for a combined total of like 480 or something like that. So he's doing great damage. And if you really just want to out-damage Super X entirely, your Ultraman has to be level like 5, right? But since he's being able to be rented out this season, odds are you're going to get a pretty decently sized Ultraman. So Ultraman, very good in any deck, not just this one in particular. Any deck, very good Super X replacement, very good Super X counter. That being said, let's take a look at this deck. So, as you can surmise from the first 2 spots, Mothra Leo and Dimension Tide, I think you know what's going on with this deck. Mothra Leo just got a buff this season, a little bit extra damage, a little bit extra health. Phenomenal, right? It's not really making him meta or anything. It's just making him better. He was already a pretty good unit. Now he's an even better unit. So I'm giving him a fair shake, throwing him into my deck. Dimension Tide, pulling units into the line of fire. You can see with this deck, the 3 main damage dealers, Leo, Ultraman, and King Ghidorah, all are going to benefit from a Dimension Tide. You can group in enemies together, do a little bit of damage, and then Mecha King Ghidorah and Ultraman can go to town, piercing them and doing a ton of damage, or you can Dimension Tide an evolution unit towards Mothra Leo and have Mothra Leo land that finishing blow and kill the evolution unit. A lot of my wins are basically me pulling Batras out of the back or pulling Super X's out from behind the leader and then using Leo or Ultraman to cut through whatever I've just pulled. So the damage from Dimension Tide, while not an insane amount, you can see on the screen right now, I just basically halved that Super X and did a little bit to that Godzilla. That on top of the piercing and the AoE is going to be phenomenal damage output, right? So, next. My deck list in these 2 videos feature Psychic Cores and the, Energy Base. These 2 units, recently I have swapped them out. So, I took out the Energy Base and I put in Trains, and I took out Psychic Chorus and I have put in Batra. Now, you don't need to do that. I've done that and I'm also getting wins that way. The Energy Base pretty much is there so that you always have damage up on the field. Mecha King Ghidorah is 7, and then your 2 main damage dealers are both 5 apiece, so that's 10 total for them, right? So a 17 energy is what you would need to get all 3 of the damage dealers out in this deck. Energy Base is going to help you out with that a lot. There are a lot of people running Trains, so you'll learn pretty quickly if you can drop the Energy Base or not. I'm not a huge fan of Energy Base. I've had a lot of success with it in this deck in particular, but I have since, after recording these videos, taken it out of the deck and I've replaced it with Trains. You can do that as well. You can replace it with anything. Let me know what you think. I think in this deck, the flex spots are definitely the Psychic Chorus and the energy base, because while both of them are helping you out big time, you can also slot in something else that maybe you're going to help you get a more aggressive push going. Like now I have a Batra, so now I can give Ultraman the Batra boost, right? Or on defense, I can do Kamacuras on the field and Batra boost them to deal with anything on the floor. So really depends on how you want to play the deck. More aggressively, more defensively. I'm switching to a little bit more of a defensive playstyle myself because I'm trying to get the Kong leader wins. But if I was using GD9, I probably would keep the energy base and just go a little bit more offensive. That being said, Kamacuras, right? I noticed when playing this deck, without Kamacuras, without anything really on the ground, because before I was running this deck the exact way you see it, except instead of Kamacuras, it was trains. And I had no real good, quick, easy answer to getting Gigan rushed by an 89, or an Anguirus, or Caesars, or Leos if I just needed a quick blocker. Kamacuras, to me, is a no-brainer. Just throw them down. You can use Manila if you want, Dorets if you want. I mean, Dorets aren't going to stop anything on the ground. But I just needed something quick and easy to defend my leader. You don't have to. Like I mentioned earlier, Trains is really good in this deck. Basher is really good in this deck. I would even go as far as to say that the Kamacuras is a flex. And basically, this deck requires that you pretty much are just using King Ghidorah, Ultraman, Leo, and the Dimension Tide. That's it. Those 4 units, pulling things into them, that's basically what you're doing with this deck. Everything else in this deck is flavor. Now that I'm looking at my deck list and thinking back on how I've devised this strategy, yes, pretty much everything else is flavor in this deck, and you are basically wanting to drag things into King Ghidorah or Ultraman or Leo. So, not a big brain maneuver. Decks like this have existed for a long time. I think there's even a video on this channel of a deck doing this kind of strategy with Des Ghidorah and Burning Godzillas as well. That is something that has been around ever since Burning and Des Ghidorah have been around, right? Dimension tiding monsters into their AoEs or their piercing or what have you to do the most damage possible. Same with Godzilla Earth. Dimensioning things into Godzilla's Earth is also a very, very good strategy as well, and the same is applicable to Ultraman. The same is applicable to King Ghidorah, and so on. So basically, Dimension Tide, everything into one spot that you want to kill, and then let your units go nuts. So that is the deck that I built. I like it a lot. It's not a, brand new deck. There's decks that have been like this for a few months now, but this, I'm seeing a lot of success with Ultraman in this deck particularly. You could use Super X instead of him in this, I guess, but I don't know why you would, especially this season. This video is going live during the Ultraman season where he's rented, so I wouldn't use Super X there, but that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the videos. I think you guys might enjoy this deck as well. I'm having a ton of fun with it. Let me know if you do too. Thank you all so much for watching. I will catch you all on the next one. Bye-bye.